we're feeling good except for when China comes in and does what they did today. So I don't know why the story keeps falling so far under the radar. Like it wasn't trending on X or anything, but it's a huge freaking deal. So, I think we were the first ones to really talk about it in the whole podcasting streaming network on YouTube to talk about the significance of BlackRock doing this deal that so it seems like Trump spoke to them and said, hey, cut out your DEI BS, get out of this net zero climate initiative thing. Then we could talk business. You could actually do patriotic things for the country. So that happens within a span of 1 or 2 weeks. BlackRock drops all the DEI, gets out of the net zero climate initiative where they agreed with $66 trillion worth of asset managers to only make climate friendly net zero initiative type of investments. And then 2 weeks after that, it comes out that behind the scenes, Trump with BlackRock, with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, they were brokering a deal where they had BlackRock come in and buy these 2 strategically critical ports in the Panama Canal. I'm going to show you exactly the significance of that. But today comes out that the guy who sold these ports to BlackRock is pulling back on the deal. And I mean, to say likely because of China government pressure would be an understatement. I would say it's definitely because Xi Jinping was pissed about this because it's a huge deal. So check this out. I'm going to show you a map here that shows exactly what happened and the significance of this. Because basically, if you control these ports, you control the Panama Canal. So the Panama Canal has 5 major ports, right? And BlackRock bought 2 of them. And out of those 5 ports, 2 of them are like real ports. And then the other 3 ones are more like terminal type of things. So let me pull this up. All right, so mapping China's influence around the Panama Canal. So yeah, if you don't know, it's kind of a big deal. This is the route you go with the Panama Canal. This is the route you go without the Panama Canal. A big difference. And I mean, this is real choppy water down here in addition to it being like more than 2.5 times the distance. So these are the ports, Cristobal and Balboa. Those are the 2 ports that BlackRock had bought with encouragement from the Trump administration. And this was a real clever, I think, as negatively as we think of BlackRock, I think it was a smart way for Trump to get ahead of this. Because, I mean, military action's a last resort. I mean, that's still on the table, but it's a last resort because that's not popular. That's going to get all kinds of legal and global and international pressure on us. I mean, not that we can't handle it, but we want to avoid it if we can. So BlackRock comes out, buys these 2 ports, but there's still a lot of China assets here. So where's the thing I want to show? So I guess BlackRock's been picking up their level of China's been increasing their level of investment. We started decreasing it under Biden. But like, for example, these are all China-owned bridges right here. So if China has the ability to block us from using the Panama Canal, that's a big deal. Like the other 3 ports that were not owned by China were owned. One was owned by the U.S., one was owned by Singapore, one was owned by Taiwan. So not as big of a deal. And those are all small ports. But then today it comes out. Let me see. Where did I put this? Here it is. Here it is. All right. So CK Hutchinson, which is the company that sold these ports to BlackRock with a bundle of 44 other ports, BlackRock paid like 2x market value on it. So from Bloomberg, CK Hutchinson to delay signing Panama ports deal, says the media. Billionaire Li Ka-shing, Hong Kong's most famous tycoon, won't go ahead with the expected signing next week of a controversial deal to sell his Panama Canal ports to a consortium including BlackRock Inc., according to media reports. While Lee's flagship CK Hutchinson holding won't sign the deal, which is expected to occur on April 2nd, it doesn't mean the sale has been called off, South China Morning Post reported, citing a source it didn't identify. Significant details remain to be decided due to the complexity of the transaction, it said. Local media outlets, including Sing Tao, also reported the agreement wouldn't be signed. The Balboa and Cristobal ports on either side of the 51-mile Panama Canal, which connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, form a key part of the deal involving a total of 43. Yep, you know that. So, planned sale highlighted political risks for companies, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of articles, though, that like Panama Canal. Watch, I bet you just type this in, you're going to see an article that says how upset Xi was about this. So let's see. BlackRock led Panama Canal port deal. Why is a setback for Xi Jinping and China? Yeah, I mean, we know why it was a setback from, because they're trying to do the Belt and Road Initiative. And that was a big part of it. Let's see if we could do a map of China, Belt and Road Initiative map. Here we go. Oh, wow. So this one isn't even showing it bleeding into the Panama Canal area, but watch this. Panama. So Panama leaves Belt and Road Initiative. This is from not too long ago. This is from 2 weeks ago. Same time that this BlackRock deal happened. According to Newsweek, on February 6th, the Panamanian government gave China a 90-day notice of withdrawal from the Belt and Road Initiative. Decision Jose Raul Molino said was made prior to the visit of the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Yeah, I'm sure it was, because you knew you were going to have to do it. I'd say as far back as November 5th, 2024. Beijing's reaction not long in coming. According to a statement from the Chinese embassy in Panama, the Chinese government summoned Panamanian ambassador to Beijing, Miguel Humberto Lacaro Basanaras. I mean, geez, with these freaking names, to express its dissatisfaction and urge Panama to reconsider its position. Panama's departure from the BRI comes at a transformational time in government and geopolitical economic dynamics in years, blah, blah, blah. So you get the point. They pulled out. China wasn't happy about it. China felt like it had a window to make big moves. But, I mean, guys, as powerful as China's gotten, as much as like all these people love to worship at the altar of China and say like, hey, they're just the next big thing. Like, you know, throw in the towel. It's going to happen one way or the other. No, like, we made China rich. Look, China GDP. And it's not a mystery why it started going crazy in 2001. That's because that's when they got into the, yeah, see, so China's the blue, right? Flat. Look at their GDP there. Flat, 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 flat. Gets a little bit of a lift. A little bit of a lift in the 90s. That Clinton cash coming through, and then boom, freaking takes off after 2001 when they get into the World Trade Organization. Stupid Clinton agenda. All right, so look at this though. They're flat. You know, we take off in a big way. They're flat right now. I think their GDP peaked. I mean, if you're a real OG viewer, you remember I showed a Wall Street Journal article like probably a couple of months ago now that where the Wall Street Journal said that China's economy might have peaked. Like, this is totally artificial growth. This is because all of our manufacturing jobs went to China after we allowed them into the World Trade Organization. We gave our companies the ability to manufacture things in China, you know, paying them probably 50 cents an hour. I've seen some places say our manufacturing companies, our companies in general that had manufactured products were able to save 90% on their production costs by offshoring it to China, right? So that's why you see all these decrepit, out of business steel plants and auto manufacturers. That's why, right? Like, it's a miracle that any still exists, let alone, you know, that it's not a thriving industry. So it's a totally artificial thing that China has grown to this degree. Let's see if I can find that thing. Just so you know, I'm not talking shit here. Wall Street Journal, China GDP peaked. I think this is it. How freaking good? Yep, this is it. How freaking good am I? Not to toot my own horn, But let's see. So this was the 2015 forecast for China's GDP, or China's GDP as percentage of US GDP. Then the 2019 forecast, then the 2024 forecast. So they're trending downward, right? Working age population, negative now, negative officially. Debt as a percentage of GDP, highest. They printed way more money than us. Yeah, floor space sold, bad. Look at those ghost towns, literal ghost towns. All right. Share of global manufacturing. We got to get that corrected. We got to get this one corrected because there's some scary maps out there, or charts out there that show like just in freaking 20 years, the U.S. used to dominate in this 20 years ago, and China took it this quickly. I mean, top manufacturing countries. Where's the chart I like? Where is the chart I like? By year. It's a visual capitalist chart. Pat showed it the other day on the podcast. Come on. Where is it? What the hell do I have to type in to get that chart? Top manufacturing countries. Which countries manufacture the most? Visual capitalist. Here we go. I think this is it. Yes, here it is. So look at this. Just 25 freaking years ago, we were crushing it. We were at 25%. China was at 6%. Then now it's projected by 2030. China's going to be at 45%. We're going to be at 11%. We can fix this problem, though. And that's what the tariffs are going to do. I don't know if a lot of people understand this, but as boring as it might be to talk about tariffs, that's what the tariffs are going to fix, is this precisely. Like, you bring companies back here, you bring jobs back here. Like, this is why the middle class has been decimated. So a little less than a year ago, I come across this crazy situation that I've never seen before, where I'm trying to find a book and it's nowhere in existence. So this book right here, Socialism, A Road to Slavery, by this guy named John Coleman, MI6 officer, total badass, wrote The Committee of 300, probably the most enlightening book out there if you're trying to learn who runs the world. Never heard anybody else talk about this, but this guy writes this book, spends 30 years researching it, and I can't find it anywhere. Like, not a single website. Amazon does have one copy last time I checked for $4,000, which shows you how difficult it is to find. So that awakened me to this whole concept of, wow, they really do remove books and information from society, from existence. That inspired me to start something called the Forbidden Book Society and try to keep things that are, I guess, considered forbidden information alive. And right now we have a group on Minnect, on Circles, called the Forbidden Book Society, where the first ones that we're doing, totally by coincidence, we're tearing through Whitney Webb's books called One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1 and 2, because the question that I guess everybody's afraid to ask because nobody's talking about in Republican circles is, why is Trump afraid to release the Epstein files? Not a question I wanted to ask, but a question I'm getting more and more interested in the more research I do. So if that's something that intrigues you, if you're somebody who's curious about how the world works, who controls the world, and you want to know who's actually pulling the strings in your life, check out the Forbidden Book Society on Minnect Circles.